Thanks, Tess, for that beautiful welcome to country, and I do acknowledge the Malakadee people. I acknowledge there are Malakadee people in this room here today, and I acknowledge their elders, past and present. This is Aboriginal land, always was and always will be. Today I get to talk about CTAC, and I love talking about CTAC because it's something that my husband started, Rodney Dillon, along with Tess and her husband and some other Aboriginal people from this community. And so I like to talk about it because I am continuing to keep the legacy alive that they have achieved over the many, many years. We just recently celebrated our 25th anniversary, but CTAC was conceived before that, but formally we were in operation for the past 25 years. And during those past 25 years, CTAC served the Aboriginal community. It also serves the non-Aboriginal community. It serves the Aboriginal partners and friends of the Aboriginal people from this community. We have a service, and most people who come from this area know that we have a health service, and we provide primary health care out of this. We also provide aged care services and education services. So those are the things that we do on a day-to-day basis. But what we also do is really, really important is that we contribute to Signet and the surrounds, because we contribute to the economy of the Huon and the Channel, and especially Signet, because we use all of the services that are in all of the businesses that are here in Signet, we use on a regular basis. You know, like Farrers, the shops might attend. And we've been doing that for many, many, many years. And that actually keeps a community and an economy alive. We also employ quite a number of people at CTAC. We employ 30 people at the moment, and what that does, and we've employed that number for quite a long time. So we're probably one of the largest employers in Signet that's consistent. We have, you know, the fruit picking season and the like, and that helps to prop up the community. But we've been here for that long and have supported families in this community. They have made a living from CTAC. They have sent their kids to school. They've bought homes, and you know, they've been able to stay and live in their community because of the employment that CTAC has given to this community. So we're a huge contributor to Signet, and I think it's really proud that I can be a part of that. And I think, you know, Tess and Rodney can attest to that. They've seen it over the many years. The people that have gone through and learnt a lot of, have been able to receive training and education from working at CTAC. You know, we've got nurses, and we did have doctors, but we'll come back to them again soon. But we have people who have learnt to upskill themselves in their own community. People have learned how to become a part of the administration. So it does a lot for this community. And so in terms of the part that we play on a local level of reconciliation, I think that goes a long way. Some of the, and I was just looking at my notes here, the objectives The first one is to unite Aboriginal people in the community of fellowship and understanding, and we've done that. We've met one of those objectives. And we have 7 objectives for our organisation, but the 2 that I wanted to point out was that these 2, that one, and to promote the development of the Aboriginal community towards achieving the common goal of self-determination. We've certainly done that, but there is still some more work to do. Yes, there's not very many times that we have events like this where we are sharing our culture, we're sharing our knowledge about what's happened to Aboriginal people in this community. And that's why we've been doing this, so that you have a better understanding. And also the people who are Aboriginal, who are just coming to accept that Aboriginality, they too can now be proud to say that they're Aboriginal. I went to the school not so long ago and I gave a talk there, and the principal, Alan, he said to me, you know, when we have our kids and we talk about anything Aboriginal, they put their hand up straight away. So I can see that parents are actually telling their kids that they are Aboriginal, and the kids are proud, and they're saying, yes, I am Aboriginal, and I want to acknowledge that, and I'd like for you to acknowledge that too. Some of the things, and I hope I don't steal any of your thunder, Bill, because I'm going to talk about some of the stuff from reconciliation. And there's 5 dimensions in reconciliation. One is around unity, historical acceptance, race relations, equality and equity, and institutional integrity. I think that in terms of unity in our small community, yes, there is some unity, and it's just increasing. And I think that we could increase that. I think that CTAC has been there, we've always been there, but I don't think that it's been acknowledged to the extent that it should be. I remember when I first started at CTAC, and just even some of the employees who worked at CTAC didn't actually know we were an Aboriginal organisation. So that was very surprising. I don't think they believed that, you know, that's what the main reason we were here for, but they do now. So, yeah, so you can understand why unity is important. Historical acceptance. That is probably one thing that Australia is not very good at. Australia isn't very good about accepting that we have a 65,000-year-old history. You know, there were the University of Wollongong recently did carbon testing, and they found that it was 65,000 years old. And that was backed up by a couple of other universities, one in New Zealand and the University of Adelaide. So they said that we have 65,000 years of history in Australia, of Aboriginal people as the first occupants in this country. And so the acknowledgement that I think is important is that when we're looking at the tracks up in the what's the name of the place, Rodney? Tarkine. That's really important that we're protecting those, because they're older than the pyramids. The pyramids are only 5,000 years old, isn't that right? And we don't even want to protect something that's probably 20, 30,000 years old. You know, that just sort of, I think our values are a little bit better than that. So, we do have a long history, and I think that it's really important that we show it to the world, and we embrace it, and we encourage others to be appreciative of it. The other one is race relations. Race relations. There is still racism in Australia. There's racism here, and you know, I think that it is something that would take a long time to get around. I think that people are working on it, and people have goodwill and want to work on it, but there is still racism in Australia. And, you know, I know firsthand because I experience it quite regularly. And I know that people who are Aboriginal in this community, and my husband experiences it. You know, it's when he's doing things that are related to his cultural practices, you know, it's looked down on, and sometimes can be said that he's doing it using that, his cultural practices. And I think that when he's, I'll let him talk about those things, but it is still here. And so there are, another one is equity, equality and equity. So that we can, in this space, equally become equals. And I spoke about this at the fishing conference just recently about Aboriginal people being equal. And, you know, and I don't want to make you feel like you're, what's the word? Guilty or anything. But this is the facts of the matter. There, you know, sometimes people say, well, what's happened in the past, I wasn't there. What happened in the past, I didn't do. That was my ancestors, or that was my family. But the thing is, though, a lot of people who have come to Australia way back 8, 9, 10 generations ago have prospered from this land. And they prospered by getting land given to them. And if they were convicts, at times they got land too. But they got land and they used the land. And Aboriginal people weren't given the land. They were chased off their lands into parts that were not where they could get their food, their water, their whatever to subsist in this country. And so, over those generations, what happened was you got the land and you prospered from it. You ran cattle or sheep through it and you got money from it. You sent your kids to school. And what happened was that our people tried to keep pace with the majority, who were the white people, who were much stronger because they had the might to be stronger in the way of guns and the like. So what they did was, over the generations, they got this prosperity, and they did become much richer and took advantage of it, and our people stayed way back there. So that's how come sometimes our health, our education, our rates of incarceration are much higher here and across the country. But these things can be overcome. So Rodney's going to talk about how we can overcome some of these things, but this is a day that we're trying to celebrate why Aboriginal people here, the Malakadi people, the people who come from elsewhere, who live in this country. And I think the Aboriginal people have done very well in Cygnet and surrounds. And so I'll hand over to the next speaker, who is Rodney Dillon.